I'm a 30-year-old male who married my wife Jennifer last year. We live in a house that my dad said we could live in. I've lived here even before I met my wife. The house is paid for and I just pay the property taxes. It could probably sell for over $1 million because it's a 3-bedroomed house in San Diego. I appreciate my dad for allowing me to live here, but like I said, I take care of the place and pay the property taxes. My dad has been asking us if we plan to have kids, and we said no. He said that he's not letting us live there to be Ken and Barbie. It's a family home, and if we're not having kids, then go rent somewhere. I told him we weren't moving anywhere because we'd made a deal that I'd care for the house and would live there in exchange. Just because it's in his name doesn't mean he can kick us out, especially just because we don't want kids. That's probably illegal anyway. Our household expenses are like $1,500 a month. We bring in like $4,000 net monthly. My dad is getting all crazy by saying that he's going to charge us $7,000 a month in rent because that's what our neighbors pay or give him a grandchild. He even said he'd raise it by himself. I told my dad to keep up this craziness and we'll go no contact. Am I the idiot for telling my dad that he can't kick me out for not wanting kids? You are the idiot. You are 30 living in daddy's house rent-free, pretending to have wealth you don't. It's his house and you're milking it. He's taking a huge financial loss by letting you live there. If you had a kid, he'd want his grandchild to have a better life than you could afford. So I see his point that if a kid was involved, he'd allow you to live there. But you don't want kids. So grow up, stop depending on daddy, and go be an adult. Pay rent and bills like the rest of us. This, I agree. OP is being a child. Paying the property taxes gives you zero rights to live there. Grow up. I've owned rentals since 2008, and you don't know what you're talking about concerning living there. Your dad can kick you out for any reason he wants. It's his house. You can refuse to leave and put up a fuss, but he can go do a formal conviction if that's what it takes. Oh, I find the no contact threat hilarious. I'm going no contact with you, but I refuse to be kicked out from your house. OP is way too entitled. They've been living in a house they could likely never afford, and now he feels like he owns it when they don't make enough even to pay what the mortgage would be. OP is acting like his dad has to legally give it to him because he pays property taxes. LOL. You're allowed to not have kids, but you are the idiot because, yes, dad technically can kick you out for not wanting kids, but morally, he sucks. Morally, dad does not suck. He's giving them an incredible deal on the place to save money and help themselves out. He laid out expectations of it being a family home, and if they don't want a family, they will need to move on. An old man doesn't need to fund the child-free lifestyle of his adult children. He's been plenty generous, and his generosity has now run out. Did OP really think it was going to be cool to play house with his wife forever in his dad's home, all while paying the bare minimum? Oh, come on, so we're just going to sit back while men control the uterus of women yet again? I went with everyone's the idiot here except the wife who's being told by her father-in-law, your uterus is now being used to pay your husband's rent. And by her husband, no problem, ignore the old man, we don't need to start looking for a new place to live. Wannabe granddaddy's demands are outrageous and idiotic. His son evidently didn't fall far from the tree. I, female 47, have a daughter, Teen, who's recently been having some issues with me. I took her to the doctor for a routine checkup, and it turns out she has a few health issues: calcium, iron deficiency, and weak bones, underweight. I also took her to the dentist and found out she has a few cavities. Naturally, we have to pay for her medicines and dental treatments, and it costs a big ton. Money is not an issue for us, but I've always wanted my kids not to be spoiled and mindful of money despite the money we have as a family. On the way out from the dentist, we were walking down the stairs and I told her, "You know how much we spent on that?" "X much." She said, "Oh," and remained silent. I wasn't sure if she got it or not, so since she had multiple appointments to get them all taken care of, I would tell her how much it cost each time. I never said anything else, just, "It cost X amount this time. You see how much money we're spending." All I really wanted was for her to be more grateful. Then, while paying for her medicines, I did the same thing. Last night, my husband said that it makes her feel bad when I tell her how much money we spend on her, and that she doesn't want any medicines because she doesn't want us to be wasting money. I never said or implied we were wasting money. It was for her health, so of course it all wasn't a waste. My husband said I was being insensitive to her and I should be more mindful as she's a kid. Personally, my husband has always been extra protective, so I think he's just being extra. I also don't understand why my kids spoke to him instead of straight to me. I don't think I'm in the wrong here, just that my daughter has got the wrong idea and my husband is overreacting. Am I the idiot for telling my daughter how much things cost to take care of her? You know the price of everything and the value of nothing. You are the idiot. These are not luxury expenses, and you say you're spending this money on her like it's some kind of treat, or that it would be reasonable not to spend it. These are essential medical expenses, and you make it sound like a problem that she's causing you. I'd also be hurt and angry if I were her. If you're trying to make a point about taking responsibility for money, there are so many other ways you could do it without being so harsh, and I don't think these kinds of expenses should be part of teaching those lessons. Let's get down to brass tacks. It's absolutely your responsibility to ensure your child's medical needs are met. What you're doing is nothing short of abusive, OP. Your daughter will grow up with a complex in which she can't ask for essential items for fear of your financial reprimanding. Teaching her to be responsible with money is helping budget, working on saving and planning ahead. But making her feel guilty every time she needs dental work or medicine is disgusting. You are the idiot, and a mighty big one at that. I bet she hasn't been to the dentist in forever and is having all of these problems at once because OP has neglected her needs. OP reminds me of parents I saw growing up that would buy cigarettes and alcohol but wouldn't take their kid to the doctor because it cost too much. Jesus, you sound awful. Imagine if your child needed life-saving surgery. What are you going to say? It cost $50,000 to save you. Stop making her feel like her life isn't worth your money. Your daughter should invoice you for the inevitable therapy she'll need for what I can only imagine is not an isolated incident of this behavior. Don't be surprised if she's hiding her illnesses from you so you don't waste money on her, as you implied. I, 34 female, have 2 kids, a male kindergartner and a female toddler with my husband Jack, 32. My mother-in-law's house has a big pool and the weather was nice last week, so me, the kids, Jack and his 3 sisters, and their families came for a pool day. Jack's sister Lily, 29, is pregnant. She already has a son, preschooler, and we have different strategies for parenting, but her son's not mine, so it's not my business. I've never said anything about her parenting, but as I post about how I parent and she follows me, she sees we're very different. Lily's pregnancy has been hard for her, and my mother-in-law asked her to ask me for advice. My pregnancies were smooth sailing and I had no issues, so I told her I didn't really have advice but encouraged her to join my mom's group as someone there could help. I run a mom's group in my city, and it's a good way for my kids to meet other kids before school and swap advice and stories. Also, on social media, I post my life, what I cook, how I parent, and balance my full-time job. Lily had to take her maternity leave earlier, as she has severe morning sickness and her pregnancy is high risk. I was handing out drinks to everyone and Lily was last, and when we spoke it was only us. She asked for a non-alcoholic beer, and I told her quietly, I'm not sure, but I think this still has alcohol in it, and is actually low alcohol. She snatched the beer from my hand and told me that she didn't want advice from the parenting police. I have a Muslim friend, and I know that specific beer has alcohol in it as he refuses to drink it. When we joined the rest of the group, she moved to sit as far away from me as possible, doesn't talk to me at the mom group meetings anymore, and has unfollowed me on social media. She told my mother-in-law, who asked me to apologize to Lily and keep the peace, especially as Lily is struggling with her pregnancy right now and is very stressed and hormonal right now. I'd like to keep the peace, but I don't think I was in the wrong or want Lily to think I'm a doormat by apologizing. I didn't offer her the beer, I just told her it could have alcohol. She's an adult and can make her own decisions. The way she snatched it and called me the parenting police upset me. You write about how much you do as a mother and how easy pregnancies are for you in such a way that it comes across like you believe your pregnancies were easy because of your choices, and Lily's pregnancy is harder because of hers. If that's coming across to strangers, I can only imagine how it comes across to Lily. You are the idiot. Are you my sister-in-law because you seem just like her? You run a mom's group, you post how well your life is organized. Basically, your social media is an example of, if you can't be like me, then you're doing it wrong. She took the beer and again, you knew better, and said something when she didn't ask. At least you were aware enough to know you couldn't offer advice on a tough pregnancy, but yeah, I'm not shocked she unfollowed and blocked you over it. Yeah, based on how much you're going on about your mommy blog and mommy groups and easy pregnancies, I'm betting Lily was already 100% done with your sanctimony BS and the drink was just her breaking point. Mind your damn business. From this story you sound incredibly obnoxious and overbearing. Just the vibe I'm getting. I, 32 male, and my wife, 31, have a bedroom, 2 IKEA malm dressers and a cat. I will preface this by saying I'm generally a fairly neat and tidy person. I clean up after myself, I regularly vacuum, my things are mainly organised, and I don't like filth and clutter. Our home is generally not messy or dirty. There's one exception. On top of one of the malm dressers, the one that contains my clothing, there are probably 6 or 7 shirts, hoodies, etc. that are just strewn about, and they've been there for a while. At first, this pile began as a place where I just sat clothes I would re-wear the next day, a hoodie, a light jacket, clean sweatpants that I'd only worn for a few hours, etc. But over time, it also became a dumping ground for shirts that need a button reattached, etc. Some of these shirts have been there for months because neither of us knows how to sew, and neither of us is probably learning how to sew anytime soon. This has always been a slight annoyance to my wife. This has become complicated though because one of our cats has really taken a shine to this pile of clothes. It's high up, it gets sunshine from the window, and it's dirty clothes. That's primo cat real estate. Little homie sits up there like 6-7 hours a day. The clothes are now covered in a fine layer of orange fur. It's very cute. He's clearly very happy. I have christened the dresser Dirty Clothes Tower. My wife is mad. She wants to evict my kitty from the tower. She wants it to be clean, sterile. She wants to put a proper cat bed up there. My kitty likes it how it is. He likes the mess. Kitties love dirty clothes. It's the only part of the house that's messy. I continue to defend the existence of the Dirty Clothes Tower. Occasionally I add a new garment. This is the only thing we argue about. She thinks I'm a child. I think it's harmless and the cat likes it, so it's cute. Am I the idiot for refusing to put these clothes in the hamper? You are the idiot. Dude, change needs to come. Today your cat likes that pile of clothes. Tomorrow, he'll organise his own gang and start extorting money from the vendors. Then you won't have a chance to blink, and it's a mafia hideout. Do you want a mafia in your hood? Don't think so. Let your wife nip it in the bud and keep the town safe for everyone. Oh dear, if I was her, I'd scoop them all up and put them in the bin. Clearly surplus to requirements. Fixing a button is not sewing. It's one of the simplest things in the world. You don't learn it, you just figure it out in seconds. Wash the clothes and hang them up even if they need fixing. They're going to be covered in cat hair, mud, poo, leaves, dead things, etc. Cats don't care. They'll sleep on anything. I'm saying this as someone married to someone who will defend his damn clutter to death. Every time your wife looks at your tower of dirty clothes, she realizes that your dirty clothes are more important to you than she is. It's not harmless. It is, in fact, actively harming your marriage. It is a drip, drip, drip of contempt. The cat will get over it. You will get over it. But really, if you want to stay a slob, you should have stayed single. I'm 19 female, a college student, but I'm back at home for the summer. I have 4 younger siblings who are still in high school, a male teen and 2 male teens twins, a female teen and a nearly adult male. So this weekend, somebody my siblings know from school had a party they all attended. None of them planned ahead to have a safe way to get home afterwards, so they called me asking for a ride. This would be fine except for the fact that I can only fit 3 other people in my car and there are 4 of them. My siblings assumed that my sister would just sit on somebody's lap, but I said no to that idea because 1, it's not safe if we get in an accident, and 2, I didn't want to give the cops a reason to pull us over. I told them to do rock, paper, scissors to figure out who was getting in the car with me, and then whoever lost would have to call someone else. But it ended up being one of the twins who got left out, so then the other twin refused to go either because they're complete babies about having to be split up. I didn't care to argue with them, so I told my other siblings to let their friends know that I had an extra seat if anyone needed a ride. Ultimately, I drove my sister, my oldest brother, and another girl teen who asked. The twins eventually got some other friend of theirs who wasn't at the party to come get them and bring them home, but then they complained to our parents about how I just left them stranded. My parents and the twins are saying I should have squeezed everybody in the car instead of offering the spot to a random person. The twins are just being obnoxious, I think, but my parents' argument is that it was more irresponsible to leave my siblings in that state at a stranger's house than to have one of them not wear a seatbelt for a few minutes. So, am I the idiot? Edit, we don't have Uber here, we're really rural. Also, I did offer to make a second trip to come back for the twins, but they didn't want to wait the 40 minutes for me to come back. That's part of their argument about why I should just let them both get into the car. Not the idiot, they're not your responsibility. They should have arranged rides in advance. If an accident occurred and the unelected person was injured, you would have been at fault. Your family doesn't care enough to protect you. You have to protect yourself. Also, your parents could have given a ride to the twins. I'm getting the vibe that there was a reason they didn't want to call their parents. However, you are the idiot. If you care about someone, you don't ditch them. You could have waited for the twins to get a ride so you could make sure they weren't getting into an impaired driver's vehicle and to ensure you have identifying car details if something went south. If you're going to risk a minor's life, then at least never risk the youngest. The oldest of the four who's old enough to drive and have some independence would have made more sense, as risky as that could be based on your parents' concerns. Not the idiot. Please do remind me here, at what point did these parents get off their behinds and go get their children that they had let go out and party? Oh, they didn't. Oh no. They are being massive hypocrites for blaming OP for something they didn't do and were actually responsible for doing. OP is not a parent. Parents had to go pick them up and ground the kids for drinking. Oh dear.